Hi there, welcome to Casper Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. So Casper, last week we already covered that it's entering the very tip of a pennant and we're just getting closer and closer to the breakout point. So let's take a look and see how close it has got to. This is the pennant we're talking about, and as we can see, the price has been trading around this red key level of 0.01 for 4 weeks already, and this week it just touches the bottom edge of this pennant. So this pennant has been, like, this edge has been touched on November last year, and then eventually April this year, and now another 5 months it once again touches this support, and it seems to have found quite good support right there. So there's some people buying in when it gets to that level, so it pushes the candlestick body back to where the level it is now. We're leaving a long wick at the tail. That's, I would say, a good sign that it's not going any deeper, at least for the short while. So this, well, let's say another test for 20%, meaning it's going to come down further or trading along the way. The upside 80%, I would stay still in force, still at play, because if we switch on the Bollinger Band and corner squeeze, we see the squeeze happening basically between May or late April till mid-August. But then currently, even though according to the indicator, the long bar, the long shade at the back doesn't appear, I would still consider we're still in the squeeze period. So the purple lines of the bottom is within the orange, the top is getting very close. So I would consider the squeeze hasn't finished yet, and the squeeze force is still being gathered. So by the time the force releases, that's when we'll see a breakout happen. Hopefully it's not heading towards the downside, because that means that's the game over point for Casper. That's why it looks to me it may be just a 20% chance towards this side, but we never know. So if it really comes down for a deeper test, somewhere near the selling climax back in October last year, that's this bottom edge of the box right here. Let's call that a spring potential. Spring is basically a deeper test lower than the selling climax. I'm just worried if the Bollinger Band corner squeeze, when it releases its force, is going to swing towards the downside, and in the weekly time frame, when the squeeze happens, the swing is going to be more massive than when the squeeze happens in the daily. So look at what happened here. So when a squeeze happens, it can go very high or go very deep. So I wish it's not going to happen to the south, otherwise it will be catastrophic. Okay, so big picture, we're getting close. Late October or near the end of October, it's where this point is. So this is the first week of November, but that's already outside of this pennant. So it should be the last week of October where the latest or the last weekly candle will happen or can happen within this pennant. So basically, the breakout will happen anytime from now. So we just have to wait and see. And if you're trying to catch the wave upwards, remember to set a stop loss. Like I said, even though seemingly the chance towards the upside is high, there's still a bit of chance for it to come down for a deeper test to scare away some people that got in early, and then the big guys, the whales, is going to launch from there. Let's quickly take a look at the daily chart as well. So here, yeah, not much like shocking movements. It's still basically trading between this bottom edge of the pennant, finding support clearly, and still, however, being suppressed by the red key level of 1 cent. This probably is going to likely continue to this point where the lines crosses each other, like we already talked about. So it's clearer to look at it from a daily time frame. So this point of cross is the first week of November. We already talked about. And yeah, we just have to give it time to break out. Yeah, the squeeze in the daily time frame is still going on, and the prices are basically at the lower half of the channels, so that's, I would say, a good sign for the bulls that maybe more likely is heading to swing towards the upside, swinging the price back to the channels edges on the upside. That's what happened back in here. Just to resume the drawing and see whether we have missed anything, if there's any, because there may be a downward channel right over there that's going on. I'm just going to quickly check how likely is that case. Yeah, it's a very narrow one that is a bit tricky to gauge, but that's probably something that looks like this. So now if I plug this in, I see another indication. Just trying to make it as tight as possible to capture what's happening right now. So assuming that's the case, excluding this outlier day on August 26th, if I extend this box further and make it a little tighter. So besides the point of November 7th, now we've got an earlier point of October 14th, so meaning roughly or less than 3 weeks from now. So what I'm referring to is this smaller pennant right over there. So assuming the price is still trading above this line, however below this ceiling of the channel box, then eventually it has to break outside of this pennant. It looks like the pennant is a bit pointing downward, so a descending wedge means a bullish sign in terms of candlestick pattern analysis. Ideally, it's going to shoot to the upside and challenge the red key level of 0.001 roughly, I guess. Yeah, 0.01, 1 cent over there. So by mid-October, we may be able to see that happening, but still, it's within the larger pennant, so it can still trade this way until it gets to early November. So, okay, now we've got two breakout points. One, somewhere near mid-October, and the other one near the first week of November. Is it going to happen in a way that it first breaks to challenge the 1 cent key level, and then bounces off from there, and then do a bigger breakout eventually? That's the ideal scenario, especially if you're waiting for the, well, people say it's the bull run. Well, you can call it that way, but for me it's more like, let's show us some movement towards the buying climax. And I think in a couple of sessions before, week after week, I've been mentioning this for a couple of altcoins, and even for Casper, it's the same. We see a downward trend for climaxes. So the previous two distribution cycles, one in May 2023, the other one in January 2024. Both forms a declining trend, meaning lower peaks. So this time, if we really have a peak, hopefully it doesn't end somewhere between the green key level of 3 cents and the light blue key level of 4 cents. We want to see it at least challenge the purple key level of 5 cents 60. That's a sign that it's going to keep the long-term speculative or investment value. Otherwise, if this declining trend continues, it's a very worrying scenario. May it be like losing support from the community, or people just consider other altcoins more attractive to speculate or to trade rather than Casper. Hey Jay, what's your thoughts on potential TP prices at the peak of the bull run? I get a lot of questions, similar questions about like guessing the top or the bottom, but that's the thing that I don't do. So that's why I say we hope it to challenge this point from a perspective of a long-term trading or speculative potential. In Wyckoff method, there's a way where you can gauge where the peak is going to be, but that's not something I like to do, because even if we calculate the estimated peak or estimated bottom, let's say if the calculated result is heading towards like the blue line 5 cents, so we would have this price anchored in our brain thinking, it's still going up, it's still going up, without considering other factors, like if it already climbed towards this point that I mentioned of the declining peak, and then things change, news comes out, and basically the sentiments change towards the downside. If we still have this anchored in our brain, and we entered our order somewhere at this point, if there's a retracement, say if it rises to this point and then the price retraces, and we still think it's going towards here, however, the macro trend is already over, and it is going to probably have a little bit of rebound and then eventually come back to accumulate. If we enter at multiple points when it rebounds, we are going to lose. I won't say lose big if you have a stop loss, but you keep losing your like few percentages you set for your stop loss. Basically, that's what's going to happen if I were to guess the top or the bottom. So that's why I never do it. Not that I never, but I learned from the past that in my very early days when I was still green, I tried to do that as well. But when time goes on and I learn more, I realize it's probably not a good thing to do. Oh yeah, well these key levels, like I said, I'm hoping to see it to challenge the purple for the sake of like maintaining the long term. Let me change back to the chart view. So see these two climaxes, right? These two buying climaxes. The reason I put this one over here, not that I'm guessing the price will go there, is I'm hoping it to get there, because for whoever that are interested in Casper or believing in Casper, that's the price point it has to get to show those supporters that its value hasn't declined. Because you see this accumulation cycle, there's selling climax over there, and where we are having our accumulation now, it is basically like a full notch or 2 notches below where it was back in 2022. So if the peaks are going to be the same, if this buying climax is coming down and to the green level, you see where the dashed line is, right? So that means Casper is likely going to trade in future within this new range, somewhere between the white line and the green, instead of this upper part of the key levels. So that's not ideal. While you still have room to trade between the white line and the green line, it's basically not fun, let's put it this way, right? Between the yellow and the purple versus this white and the green, you can see the by percentage point from the white to the green is still close to 400%, while between the yellow to purple, or this white line over here, is around 100%. It seems like it's like more wild over here, but because the price is so low, it's getting to the point 0.006 range instead of the cents. It has gone to the 10th of the cents, and it's going to be very risky if you are going to trade in that range. So that's why I said, okay, let's aim for it to, or like hope for it to get here to show us it's not like the end of Casper, not that it's going to definitely reach this level. I hope that's like a long answer to your question. So it's a hope, not an estimate. Yeah, just a short version of the answer. So thanks for asking the questions, and thanks for joining me for this session. See you tomorrow for the other sessions. Tomorrow will be Bitcoin and Ethereum, Ripple, and Bitcoin Cash. Ciao.